DJ Drama on the
Hi guys, hi everyone. My name is Chichuchi, Util's designer, as you all know, and I want to share something. I was posting it on my WhatsApp status some days back. I was thanking God, saying, "But God," I mean, at the time, it felt like it was a light issue, but it wasn't light. On the 23rd of December, which was on Saturday, we traveled, myself, my husband, my younger sister, and her husband. The four of us traveled to Abia States. We have events, series of events. We're spending the Christmas and the New Year in the village this year. So we had to travel, and they wanted us to to go with a driver, but we said we could go on our own. I mean, it was going to be fun. We wanted to experience the road ourselves. We wanted to just experience things basically on our own. So we decided to use Google Map. I mean, we're young, we're fresh, we are tech savvy, so we decided to use Google Map to go all the way to Abia State, and it was good. It showed us, the right routes, supposedly the right routes. I mean, the shortest, easiest route anybody could take, but if only we had known. So on driving, after the new bridge, we had passed the new Niger Bridge, and we were going. Before we embarked on the journey, we had been told not to pass I think Nobi, something Nobi Road. We should, like, the map might ask us to pass that route, but we shouldn't pass that route. We should pass the alternative routes. But we didn't know. I mean, where do we know? And we weren't asking questions because we were scared of getting into the wrong hands. If only we had known, we would have asked questions. I mean, it would have saved us from what we eventually faced. So on driving, we noticed, initially we had some, other public transports, we were all moving, and at a point, the map asked us to take right. There was a road it told us to take, like, it was to the right, but like it didn't click that other vehicles were not with us. It was after a few minutes we looked around us, and there was almost no bus on the road though. It was just our car, and then once in a while we'll see a van, and maybe like in the next 2-3 minutes you see the flashlight of a car, and then bikes. So we didn't really think much of it. I mean, it was in the village, and this was almost 8 past 8. We felt uneasy, like we believe we were children of God, and no matter what, we'll get home safe. That was our belief. So we continued driving. It was getting eerie. You know how when you're watching movies, the suspense starts to build, and we couldn't turn back because the road was too bad. Not just, it was narrow, like very narrow, thick bushes on the side. Say you want to turn, you could try turning and tip over into a bush. It was that bad. So there was nobody we could even ask questions again at the point. We were just seeing bikes, but because of the fear and the constant unrest we hear of in the east, we didn't know who would, wind down and ask. We were driving, all of a sudden we saw another car. And we're like, oh, thank God. And then we saw another van, we're like, ah, thank God. But as we were driving, at the point, the road got so bad. The car that was driving with us just parked by one side of the road, like it was too bad for him to move. But we kept driving because we can't stay in this bush. If anything happened to us, nobody would know. We just wanted to keep moving, like having feet that will soon come out of the out onto the road where other cars are. We were driving, and then the van stopped too. It wasn't funny. Like right now, as I'm explaining it, people would have said, oh, at that point you should have known you stopped. But we could stop there and get kidnapped, we could stop there and get killed, and nobody would. When I say nobody would know, nobody would know. At that point I was really uncomfortable. Then all of a sudden, from nowhere, one bike started coming on speed, and then the bike zoom. We were praying. Myself and my sister sat in the back. My husband and my brother-in-law sat in front, like my brother-in-law was driving, my husband sat in front of him. So me and myself and my sister started praying. We started praying, pleading the blood, calling the angels to take charge, asking God to show mercy, to take us safe. At the point, the bike just zoomed past, and we breathed a bit. But as soon as it zoomed past us, my husband was like, and my brother-in-law were like, oh, this bike is something about it leading us through the through a tunnel or something. It's a light, it's a ray of hope or something. So it was just going. At the point we couldn't see his light again. We just kept driving, and the road was not straight. You know how this village road can be like snake-like, and it was just going snake-like, bending with thick bushes all around. And all of a sudden, we saw another bike with it in the front, but we couldn't see if they stopped to greet themselves or not. But we central locked our car. So the bike that was coming this way, like not going forward the way we was coming backward, there were two guys on the bike. The next thing, the next thing the next thing they sure about that. I thought somebody was coming to interrupt my video. The next thing, they started banging by my side of the door. Open this door, we just want to talk to you guys. Open this door. We thought we were like, don't open nothing, keep driving. And there's no way you keep driving and not injure yourself. If it was a smooth road, you know, a car would definitely outrun a bike, but the road was not smooth. It was really very hard to drive fast. So they were just hitting on the door. We had central locked the car. I was praying. I had to throw my phone under the car seat. I was praying. Myself and my sister, we intensified our prayer. My heart had jumped into my mouth. I was like, God, please, I don't want to get kidnapped. The guy in front with his bike, we didn't even see him again. The next thing, those guys started pursuing us. Oh my God. The race was not here. Fast and Furious, I like, you know, when you're watching Fast and Furious, you feel like, it's easy breezy. They're just moving like this. It wasn't funny. I was experiencing Fast and Furious in real time. My brother-in-law, the way he drove, it can only be God that was moving his hands that way. It can only be God. Any other car could have tipped over into the bush. The way he was driving like somebody that was high on something, and it was just God. I'm very sure of that. The next thing, as we were driving, those guys behind, they turned off their bike lights, but they were still coming after us. We just couldn't see them because everywhere was pitch dark, pitch in the middle of the bush. Like, I don't know how to explain it right now. Talking about it, it's not giving the picture it should give. The next thing, I started looking for my phone. I had to call my mom. Called my mom. Was like, Mom, please, I don't know where we are. We're in the middle of a bush. Just pray for us. My mom was like, forget that thing. You're children of God. Forget that thing. Cast out fear from your mind. You will come home. And she was just saying nothing. In my mind, I'm like, this is not what I want to hear now. This is the battle of my life. I just dropped my phone. I didn't say anything again. As we were doing the Fast and Furious, like, myself and my sister, we intensified our prayer. At the point, I couldn't pray again. I was so, you know how fear has so overcome you. Your mouth gets stuck. I couldn't even speak in tongues again. I was so stuck. My sister just kept praying. I was gasping for air. Like, I entered shock. I couldn't speak again. The next thing we noticed, we were surrounded. Bikes, different bikes, the ones that were pushing, the one that was pushing us from behind, then some other bikes. Apparently that bike that we saw in our front that we thought was a ray of hope or whatever it was, had already gone to signify the other gang in front that some people were coming. As soon as we got there, it wasn't funny. It really wasn't funny. They just surrounded us. Guns, all sorts of guns, different guys. Oh my God. I became pressed immediately. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't even hold my waist system again. It was from the middle of my head to the sole of my feet. All I was thinking at that, I wasn't even thinking of death. Like death, I don't know. Maybe some people fear that. I wasn't thinking of death. I was thinking of rape. Oh, they shouldn't rape me. They shouldn't rape my sister. Oh, they shouldn't steal my property. Those are the two things I I won't say fear, but those are two things I dread most. Those two, I was really praying to God. I was like, God, please. Then they started hitting the car. Come down or we shoot. They had surrounded the car with their guns. Come down. Every one of you, come down. If you try to run, they had barricaded the road. My brother-in-law was still, like, his leg was still on the brake. He didn't turn off the car's engine. My husband was like, let's just come down. My brother-in-law was like, let him go. Me, I was there. I was like, don't stop. Just match this thing. Don't stop. My sister was there still praying. Like, she was sitting by me. She was still praying. Like, the way she was sending angels on assignments. Heaven could not rest. I was very sure heaven could not rest. The next thing, they were like, if you try to move, if the car even rolls a bit, we will shoot. It was super crazy. I was lost. So my brother-in-law, they had to force my husband had to tell my brother-in-law to turn off the car. He turned off the car. They asked us to calm down. They didn't really hit any of us. It was just my brother-in-law, because according to them, when they asked him to turn off the car's engine and told him to stop, he didn't stop. So we came down. I had started crying. Like, I had just started crying, because I mean, something we would usually do in Lagos whenever police stops us. My husband would tell me to, like, put up that whole pity look, and I started crying. But my cry was not just for them, but to God. God, this can't be. I'm going home to go and honor my father and my mother. I'm going home to go and honor so many people. I can't get kidnapped here. I can't die in this forest. Please, God, do something. So they asked all of us to come down, and we're like, it's like you want to die here. It's like you want to die here. Take a look all around you. You can see glasses all around. These were other people. The glasses from other people's cars that proved stubborn. We taught them a lesson. We showed them who we are. They were just shouting. The next thing, they started ransacking the car, collected the car key. At that point, we were thinking, oh, okay, either they were thieves or kidnappers. It was just all in one, because I mean, you can't be security operatives and you're operating in the middle of the bush. Why? What are you protecting? Are you protecting the animals in the forest? You're not protecting human beings there. So they collected the car key, emptied the car of all our belongings, started searching all our belongings, asking us if we know soldiers, if we do this one, if we do that one. It was really a lot. It was a lot. They started looking for things, collected a few of our personal belongings, collected our phones, started asking for some very personal questions that I really don't want to go into, because even saying this, I feel so unsafe. I feel I'm still in shock. So as they finished, I mean, at that point, my parents had already started calling, because they kept calling, to check on us, to know where we were. They had started calling. They called my sister. My dad called my sister. My sister, immediately that thing happened, my sister threw her phone into her underwear. So they collected my phone, my husband's phone, and my brother-in-law's phone, and they were asking for her phone. She said her phone was bad, and also my dad had called her phone, and then she immediately cut it. He called again, she cut it. He called mine immediately, and then since my watch is connected to my phone, I could answer from my phone. So I picked from my phone. I couldn't talk, but I mean, their voices, he was able to pick up what they were saying, and then he was hearing where they were threatening us, asking us different questions, asking what we do, asking if we know any soldier, telling us, do we know they could kill us here and nobody will find out, this, that, this, like so many threats and all. And then we're just begging, and then all of a sudden, where it's like, where God decides to show himself. Instead of them maltreating us, they started helping us. The whole thing went from attack to play. I became calm. They started asking. One asked my sister where she was, because they asked each of us what we do, and then asked my sister what her husband does, and then my sister was like, he's a pastor. So one was like, a pastor with church. My sister mentioned her husband's church, and then he was like, oh, this location or this location, and then the conversation just went from there. It was like, oh, started forming, or we're from the same place and all of that, and then the whole thing just went smooth. The next thing, the head of the group told his people to just leave us. They should just help us pack our things. And then some of them, yes, you know how some will be like still disgruntled, and or the way he shouted at them, pack, stop flashing the lights in their eye, pack their things. And then they helped us pack our things, packed our things, finished packing our things. As we were going, the head was like, whenever there were about either 5 different checkpoints the same way. And let me stop calling it checkpoints, because it's basically eventually like it was subsequently we found out that that's like a kidnapping gang, because some other persons that had traveled that way before us had gotten kidnapped. Some were killed. Their people didn't even eventually see them even after the ransom was paid. Another one even had to send my husband a message the following day telling him that he has been with them, and then they asked for 10 million, that he just wanted to let people know that, oh, he was kidnapped, not that he needed the money because his people had money and all. So the boss was like, oh, when you get to the next checkpoint, whichever checkpoint you get to, just tell them. We mentioned his name, I can't mention his name, I'm so sorry. It was like, just tell them so and so has checked you. And then when we get to the last point, we will see a last point described where we will see, how we will know that it's the last point, that we should tell them there to direct us to where we're going to. So when we got to that point, we told them to direct us where we're going to. The fear had left, but the PTSD has not left me. You know how something is so, they line up. Imagine if anything had happened. Okay, let's say my brother-in-law had not stopped when he did. All 4 of us could have been shot dead, or if we escaped the first one, we can never escape the second one. It's just like they were barely for 5 minutes apart. Like the blocks were barely for 5, and you won't really know that you are, like they are there, because in the thick of the bush there is no light, there's nothing. It's when you get there you see a flashlight. They will just shine it once. You know, when somebody just shines something, you will know that something is there. Before you get there, if they want to kill you, they will kill you. Nobody would know but God. That's why I kept saying, but God. It was just God. For like 2 days the shock didn't leave me. I'm like, is this what people go through? Imagine I didn't even finally get kidnapped. Like, it was just the trauma of the near kidnap. The trauma alone affected me mentally, like for a few days. It was just God that had to and keep encouraging me. It was just God. It was just this God. So please, if you're traveling to the village, traveling wherever, if you don't know where you're going to, please ask. It's better you ask. If you can't even ask, go with somebody that knows the road. Avoid enclosed areas. Once you send something, once you get into a road, the minute your spirit tells you go back or stay put, don't fight it. Don't fight it. Just obey it. There's no point fighting it. If we had, okay, the first instruction had come from Lagos, we don't follow Nobi Road. Will I say we forgot or we disobeyed? Let me just call it disobedience, because whether we forgot or it was still disobedience. We disobeyed and then we still passed. But eventually, I mean, because God is a merciful God, He overlooked our disobedience and still showed us mercy. So please avoid some certain roads wherever you're going to. Please ask questions. Be safe this Christmas period. I'm here to tell you, God did a thing, and I can never ever forget it in all my life. Bye guys, take care. Thanks for staying with me.